There are currently more than 20 ships in production for Star Citizen. Some are massive spacecraft carriers, some are gunships, and at least one is a gigantic base builder. But I've got my eye on a few unique ships that I think could have an impact on the game beyond just adding more guns to dogfights. Today I'm going to give you a look at 5 very hyped upcoming ships, part 1, because there's always more to come. Thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk. The first ship on this short list is the Gatac Railen, a medium to large cargo hauler made by the Xi'an. You may recognize the manufacturer of the name as the maker of the smaller Siulin. You can expect the same floaty bits, moving parts, organic materials, and altogether just strange design. Looking like a space-age gorilla transformer, the Railen clocks in at 54 meters long, 52 meters wide, and 67 meters tall. It's a weirdly shaped box. But this is bound to change before release anyways. It'll also be carrying 320 SCU of cargo in these rather weirdly shaped cargo pods that I think are going to need to be changed before the ship is finished. We have a very standardized cargo system at this point, and we've seen other ships like the Raft change to accommodate it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same here. This ship also keeps its own defense and a few turrets, and it obviously comes heavily shielded. But the most interesting part of this ship is just the fiction part of the science fiction that it brings. Something I talked about recently in the video I did about the new weapons that have been coming into the game as well. This ship has the floating elevators, transforming consoles, the grandeur display of Xi'an tech, that all around just looks to be one of the coolest experiences inside of a ship in Star Citizen thus far. Everything I have seen from Xi'an's stuff throughout this game's promotion and Squadron 42's marketing shows a technological prowess that I would closely associate with like the Forerunners from Halo. Yes, I know, another Space Tomato video, another Halo mention. But I think that's nice. There's no elder race or primordial aliens in this game that have old leftover technology for us to discover. Well, at least that I know of yet. So it is nice to be friends with somebody who's super advanced, so it at least seems like they're otherworldly. Now, while this ship is currently in pre-production, finally, as of June 2025, it actually took quite a while to get there from when they told us it would be there.
So in the next year, backlog ships that will be going into production, caveat, things can always change. Yeah. Polaris, Apollo, G12, Railen.
So I think it's still going to be a little while before we do see this one in game as well. Next on my list is one we know basically nothing about. I've talked about this one and another ship on this list in an episode of my Launch Sequence podcast over on the second channel with Tristpone. He's modeled out a lot of these based on what our guesses might be, in a lot more graphic detail than you could find here. But this silhouette has been predicted to be CNOU by Execute of the Info Runners due to a couple key features, like the trellis seen here that you can see in other CNOU designs like the Pioneer, and a known fact about Star Citizen's ship development. In order to create a large ship for a company, the ship team likes to develop smaller ships that can add to the library of assets that'll help to build that larger one. Just look at the Gatac Railen coming after the Siulin, or the Guardians coming after the Fury. It is suspected that this is a medium-sized ship. It's always a little bit hard to tell with these silhouettes and the model of the person standing next to them, but it could possibly be a smaller transport based on the surrounding objects and shapes. I'm a huge fan of basically anything that comes into the game without a combat focus, so I'm keen on this. But the general design practices of CNOU also make it an exciting prospect. Generally, their larger ships are supposed to be designed to resemble space stations with thrusters. Funny enough, the Pioneer does look pretty similar to the Archon mining station in Squadron 42. Like, I could see Consolidated Outlands making this station. Now, this ship is planned to enter development this year, and maybe it already has as one of the several unannounced ships we've been following. But either way, we'll keep an eye out for it throughout the months. Maybe it'll introduce something new to the game. Earlier this year, it was confirmed Kruger Intergalactic was finally going to be releasing a full-size ship. After years racing around in their snub ships, which I don't really like, we are now looking forward to a light fighter from Kruger, which looks like I really do like. Now, it's combat, so I'm not too crazy about it, and it's likely the least impactful ship on this whole list, but I am interested, and I don't think I'm alone. Nobody says you can't strip the guns off this and use it as the coolest looking runabout in the verse. And the Naboo vibes are strong with this ship. To be honest, there are plenty of ships in the game that have obvious influences or at least cross-influences with other popular sci-fi universes. And I think that's actually a strength. With a look kind of like the Naboo starfighter from Star Wars, I think this is one of the most striking designs I've seen in the game, especially for a smaller ship. It's very stylized and pretty clearly Kruger in the same way the Merlin and Archimedes are, with that long body feel and relative smoothness compared to other manufacturers. But this is the concept phase. We still don't know how this might be implemented in the game or when it might be coming, but it's such a small ship in a combat focus, I imagine this one's coming pretty soon. The Drake mystery ship is the most exciting on this list for me, to be honest. I have no clue what it could be, and technically, we don't even know if it's Drake. This was another ship I covered with Trist Poen on the podcast, and he has some great guesses on it, but I think we're all wondering if that one silhouette picture we have describing this could be misleading us to the point that we just have no idea. I mean, even the size of this thing is a bit hard to determine, but looking at what seems to be the bulky landing gear compared to the person next to it, it's a pretty large ship. As a possible freighter, it could be a competitor to something like the Asgard, but it's really just hard to tell. I'm most intrigued by this one just because of that ridiculous shape. It could be plenty of different things, but I think the folks at CIG are having some fun with this presentation style, and we'll all be a little bit surprised by how it turns out. The RSI Apollo. This one tugs on the heartstrings. Now a 7-year-old concept image, the RSI Apollo is the prettiest medical clinic you've ever seen, and one of the more long-time hyped ships in the game. With a combination of drones and modularity, this ship is meant to act as a pretty technically impressive respawn point and a one-stop shop for all medical needs. But those are two major features that we don't have much visibility on. In this year of less feature development, it's a mystery why this ship is in the pipeline when those two features, as well as medical gameplay itself, are all in need of an upgrade. Unless CIG has that gameplay designed and figured out, they risk releasing this ship to only need to make changes later if any design considerations change with the gameplay at hand. Or maybe they'll just Asgard it, fix the problems with the next one. Personally, I would love to see an Apollo-like ship more focused on deep exploration and FPS raids. But this ship is beautiful. It can equip any tier medical bed in the game to keep you healthy, and it even comes with a variant that has more armor. I don't think this is a ship that's just for medical players, but the emphasis does mean it will be commonly overlooked when you're doing other things. It's undeniable how useful this ship will be in the game, but until we know what future medical gameplay and the contracts that are made surrounding them will look like, I am hesitant to get too excited about this. And that's exactly why it's so interesting to me. It's hard to imagine right now, but if the actor feature team could get us an update half one of next year, it could possibly coincide with base building, which requires drones. Along with modularity, which does already exist in game, all of these things coming together would be great for this ship, medical gameplay, and the game overall. So yeah, there are some implications tied up in this one that have me very interested in huffing the copium to see it released in game. Kill me. These are just a handful of the more than 24 ships currently somewhere in development for Star Citizen. Some are just ideas, others are being turned into full-on ships, but all of them go through the long process of creation. I've covered that in painstaking detail in a video I released last year here on the channel, and I also update this process every month in even more painstaking detail over on Space Tomato 2 with my terrible spreadsheet and a need for dark mode. We actually do that live here on the channel too, so hop by the live streams on Mondays. If you do want to keep up with ship and feature dev, consider subscribing here, and I'll catch you in the next.